In a secure concrete basement in the quiet university town of Aarhus, Denmark, there is a stainless steel tank. It is filled with liquid nitrogen, kept at a constant minus 196 degrees Celsius. Inside that freezing dark is the real savior of the human race. If the apocalypse happened tomorrow and you were the last man alive on a planet of billions of women, your greatest rival for the survival of our species would not be a wild beast or a competitor. It would be this frozen metal tube. Because biologically, you are already completely redundant. You've seen the movies. Oof, you've seen the movies. The lone survivor, standing heroically in the ruins of a collapsed civilization. He is strong, alert, armed, and seemingly destined to repopulate the Earth. It is a primal fantasy of ultimate importance. You walk through the silent, empty streets of an abandoned city. No traffic, no notifications, no rules. But as you look around at the empty buildings, the weight of the situation begins to settle in. You are the last male of your species. The reproductive future of humanity rests entirely on your shoulders. Or so you think. Because the moment you try to play the role of the evolutionary savior, you run straight into a brick wall of biology. To save a species from extinction, conservation biologists use a strict mathematical equation, the 5500 rule. To prevent the immediate effects of inbreeding, a population needs at least 50 genetically diverse individuals. To prevent the slow, quiet decay of genetic drift over centuries, it needs 500. If you are the only man left, that number is 1. Even if you could father thousands of children, those children would all share a devastating connection. They would be half-siblings. When they grew up and tried to continue the species, their offspring would inherit identical genetic codes. Think of it like a photocopy machine. If you copy a document once, it is perfectly legible. But if you take that copy and copy it again, and then copy the copy, each generation loses resolution. Letters fade, smudges appear. Eventually, the page is nothing but chaotic noise. Your DNA is that page. Within 3 generations, the human species would suffer from what biologists call inbreeding depression. Recessive, lethal mutations that are normally hidden and harmless would suddenly pair up. Blindness, congenital heart failure, physical deformities, and immune system collapses would flood the newborn population. The child of the last man on Earth would not be a hero. They would be incredibly fragile. Our lineage would quietly, painfully grind to a halt. But that is not how this story ends. Because we did not leave our survival to chance. We built a backup plan, and it is sitting in the dark, frozen under a layer of liquid nitrogen. In places like Denmark, Florida, and California, we have spent decades building massive cryogenic vaults. The largest of them, Cryos International, holds over 100,000 samples of human genetic material. It is a modern-day Noah's Ark, frozen at a temperature so cold that biological time freezes, turning the cells into glass. These tanks contain the genetic diversity of millions of men who lived before the collapse. Every ethnicity, every phenotype, every immune variable we have ever possessed is safely preserved. Even if every living man on the planet vanished tomorrow, the remaining women would not need you. Using existing basic medical technology, they could repopulate the Earth with infinite genetic diversity without you ever entering the room. The grand fantasy of the lone male savior is biologically obsolete. This leaves you with an uncomfortable question. If your biology is redundant, what is your actual purpose? If you are the last man alive, your job is not to be a breeder. Your job is to be an engineer. Because those massive steel tanks of liquid nitrogen do not run on magic. They run on electricity and a highly complex, fragile supply chain of cold logistics. If the power grid collapses, if the automated cooling systems shut down, if the liquid nitrogen boils away, the icy savior of humanity melts. The backup drive of our species is wiped clean forever. So you do not need to hunt leopards. You need to find a manual for a power plant. You need to figure out how to keep the diesel generators running and maintain the solar arrays. The survival of the human race does not depend on your physical dominance. It depends on your ability to read a technical blueprint. The hero's journey is replaced by the mechanic's shift. So look at your hands one more time. If you are alone in these silent streets, do not feel the crushing weight of having to repopulate the world. That problem was already solved by the collective genius of the people who walked before you. Our species survived not because of single heroic alphas, but because we learned to cooperate, to build, and to plan ahead. We traded the brutal lottery of nature for the safety of frozen steel, proving that the greatest human superpower is simply looking out for each other. So walk through the quiet city, find the secure basement, and listen to the steady, comforting hum of the generators. Your ancestors left you the keys to the future. You just have to make sure the power stays on.